What up guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about gems. We're going to be going into detail on what they are, when you use them, and what they're like, what's their purpose, right? So let's go into them a little bit. There are three different types of gems. Okay, there are the skills. We call them the skill gems. These are the primary damage dealing skills that you're going to be using for the most part. You have your support gems, which are going to help out that primary skill, and you also have your auras. Auras are your utility, such as energy shield regeneration, life regeneration, extra defense, things like that. There are three distinctive different colors, and those colors correlate with the requirement for those gems. You have your blue, which are intelligence based, your green, which are dexterity based, and your red, which are strength based. Now, as you level up these color of gems, their strength, dexterity, or intelligence requirements will go up. So to be able to continue to level them, you have to have more intelligence, strength, or dexterity. And some gems do have a mix of both. The other type of gems that we have are the support gems. Again, they also are required by intelligence, dexterity, and strength. They have different requirements based on what level they start at. Now, if we look at the specific gem, we're going to start with Conversion Trap. We're going to do this because it's like right at the beginning, one of the first gems you can get. If we look at the very top, it says it's a trap skill, it's a spell, and a duration. Okay, those are important tags for supports. Let's just focus specifically on this item here. So this item, if we look, it requires level 4. So you must be at least level 4 to be able to equip this item. Let's go ahead and equip this item, and it is now on our skill bar under Conversion Trap. Okay, we can change the location of anything that is on our bar just by clicking the location and selecting whichever one we want to have. So if we don't want it in that location, we can click the icon, close it, and we can move it to our R location. And now we can press R, and that'll cast our Conversion Trap. Okay, that's the basics of how to adjust where things are. Now you think, well, I don't really have enough, like, look at all these spots I have on my gear, I don't have enough room for all of this stuff. Well, you actually have, if you hold down Control, you have a second whole row of skills. Now I like to put all of my aura skills, which are like clarity, which we'll get to in just a second, in this second tab, and I'll tell you that in just a minute. So let's go ahead and get all of these different skills on here. So this is Ice Shot. So Ice Shot is considered an attack, a projectile, an AoE, a cold, and it requires a bow. Okay, so that's very, very important. There are certain skills which have a requirement of a melee, some that require a bow, and some that require a ranged type of weapon. It's important to know that we do have a bow, so we can use Ice Shot. It's right here. We can change this to our T and get rid of it off of there. And then we have our heavy strike. So for instance, this one is an attack, melee, strike. So if we put this on, you'll notice it's grayed out. Okay, we cannot use this skill. Why? Because we do not have a melee weapon. Because we have a bow, this skill cannot be cast. So that's why it's important to look at your gems, look at the build that you're doing, and know what type of weapon you can and cannot use. The great part is that the majority of builds can use the majority type of weapons. So that is very helpful. Only specific melee builds or bow builds have very specific types of skill gems they can use. The other type of spell is just a spell. Okay, this is just a minion. So I can create a zombie for me that will actually come and help me out. So we're going to put that in there. We're going to move our heavy strike over to E, even though we cannot use it because we don't have a melee weapon. And now we get into the support gems. Now, once you have your main skill equipped, this is where the tooltips help on the actual support gems to tell you if it is supported by that specific skill gem. So right here we have a increased critical strike support. It requires level 8 to start off and an intelligence of 18. It also tells you what it gives to those specific support. Now, if we look at the just right up there, you will see that it has the type of skills that we have active that are in our current gear. So we have Conversion Trap, Heavy Strike, Eye Shot, and Raise Zombie. So we can look at those and we can say, okay, well, those are there. Well, if you look just on the right side of the skill, it will give you the color of the gem and if it is supported by that gem or not. So Conversion Trap has an X on it, which means it cannot go with that gem. It can go for Heavy Strike, Eye Shot, and for Raise Zombie. So if we were to put this in with the Conversion Trap, which I believe is in here, we can still socket it in, right? But it's not giving any extra damage to it. Okay, it's giving no additional benefit of having this skill gem here. So there is no point in having this one linked with one of the other ones. Let's go ahead and move Heavy Strike over here just so we can see, and we'll put Eye Shot into our helmet. So we can put this with our Heavy Strike, right? So if we link this with our Heavy Strike, it will support the gem. Now here's what's really cool about this. So if we look down on the skill bar, you can actually see this little blue box that is on the icon, a little tiny blue box. That means that that support gem is affecting that skill gem. So it gives a bonus. When you hold your mouse over the skill gem, you now have increased global critical strike and chance to strike global or critical strike chance. If we take it off, it takes those off. Okay, so we can see the difference. There's 5 tags here. We add this in here, we now have 7 tags. Okay, the more support gems you add, the longer that list is going to be. Why? Because this support gem is giving bonuses to your main skill, making it deal more damage or more utility towards that specific skill. We can do the same thing for Mirage Archer. So we look at here, we can see that it only supports Eye Shot. And the reason for that is because it has that tag right underneath its name that specifically says bow. So it can only support a bow skill. So we have to link that with our Eye Shot. When we put it with our Eye Shot, as you look right over there, you will see that there is now a green box with an M on it, which stands for the Mirage Archer support. Again, we can hover over there and it will tell you when you hit an enemy with an arrow from the skill, it summons a Mirage Archer which uses this skill. It uses a skill with 60% less attack speed. Another thing to look at the support gem, the mana multiplier. Now this specifically means that when you support this onto a skill, it's going to increase the amount of mana required to cast that spell. So it's going to increase the amount of mana by 140%. We can put this with Conversion Trap or Ice Shot. We cannot use it with Heavy Strike and we cannot use it with Raise Zombie. So we can only link it with those specific gems. So we can link it up here with our Eye Shot and our Mirage Archer. Now if you look over there again over on our Eye Shot right here, you'll notice that we now have an M and a D. The reason we have D is because they have increased duration as well as the Mirage Archer. Hence the M and D are now on that skill. Now when we cast that skill, it will then have a higher mana cost. So now it costs 11 mana. If we take off our 2 support gems, we will see that it is 6 mana. Again, that is because we have a mana manipulator of 140% and another one of another 140%, which will give us our 11 cost. Now, the third type of gem we have are the auras, or the utility type of skills. Now we have 3 of them here. Again, we have our intelligence, dexterity, and our strength based aura skills. for instance, Clarity here allows us to have more mana per second. Mana is the blue. So as you put this on and level it up, you will be able to have faster mana regeneration that allows you to cast more skills more frequent. So instead of you running out of mana because you cast your one spell which used 500 mana and having to wait 5 seconds for it to come back, you're able to come back a lot quicker and be able to cast the spell again. So when we put this on, we're going to put it down here just because we can. It's going to put this on our skill bar, which I already have in my control because that's where I like to keep my auras. The reason I like to keep my auras there is because you have to activate them. When they're activated, they get a nice little swirly around them, and that means that it is thus active. Now, as you see our character, there's also a nice little swirl around it, and that's one of the auras. Each aura has a different effect on it, which is, you know, merely just to say that you have an aura attached. So if we add another one, say precision here, we got to find a green socket here, and we activate that one, you'll notice we now have a green effect with our blue effect because we have two auras on. Now with auras, they do require a mana requirement. Now auras take away mana. As you can see, we now have this gray bar over our mana, and our mana is now reserved with 120 mana, and we only have 190 of the 310 left. Why is that important? Because you now have less mana to cast your spells, right? So you need to make sure that you're able to still cast your spells while still having these supports on there. Third one here is going to be Vitality. We're going to stick it up here in our helmet by itself so it's not linked with anything. And we're going to try to turn that one on. So we're going to again click the bottom box. We're going to click our Vitality and get it off of our mouse. Okay. And then we can activate it. Again, if you look, we are adjusting the amount of mana that can be used. So if we have all three of them on, so we have Vitality, Clarity, and Precision, we can see that basically half of our mana is now completely gone. It's reserved, so we cannot use that mana for any of our active skills. So as we cast this skill, we can see it dropping, and then it comes back. It will never go above the mark that is grayed, right? That gray is a hard cap on how much mana we can have and use for our skills. Now we have three auras, right? So what are these auras doing for us? Well, we have the Vitality, which allows us to regenerate life per second. This is very helpful, especially while leveling up, because it allows you, when you get hit, to regenerate that life without having to use one of your life flasks. We have the Clarity, which allows us to have mana regeneration. Also very helpful when we are leveling up, because we can use our skills more often. Precision is really based on the type of character. In the last video, I went over 4 of the specific builds. Now you want to look at the build that you are playing and see if precision is actually in there. If it's not in there, then it's not going to really help you, right? So it's better to only run the specific auras that are for your build, because they're going to increase the damage and give you the best utility for that build. So precision is not used in every build. Clarity, Vitality, very, very useful, especially for leveling. And the best part about them is that they don't have a specific percentage that they're going to cap. So they reserve more mana as you level them up. So if you only want to have it at level 1, you know, you're only going to reserve a certain amount. If you want it level 2, it's going to reserve a little bit more. Same thing with Clarity, okay? So Clarity also starts off with a low amount of mana reserved, and as you level it up, it will require more and more and more mana. Now, there are different skills and auras that require you to take a percentage of your mana. But when it says mana reserved, it will give you a percentage. It may say 25%, it may say 50%. Now those are going to be more expensive, and they usually require a higher level to start them out. So be careful, don't go over, because you will not be able to use the skill. So here is Enki's Arc Witch, which we talked about in the last episode, and we went to the gem setup. Okay, so here is where you can apply this knowledge. So if we look, we have our main skill of arc, right? So we also have these other gems here. These are all support gems. Again, they're all blue, so we know that they are all intelligence based. The main thing to remember is that this is your skill gem, and these are the 5 support gems that he is suggesting that you use with this specific skill. So you will need to make sure that you have, which we'll talk about in the next video, 6 blue sockets and 6 links between those sockets. And you will be able to have the most damage possible. And that's how these work. Okay, if you have any questions about skill gems, go ahead and put them down in the comments below. And that's pretty much the whole video there. So I hope this helped you with learning about skill gems and like what the specific types of gems we have are. In the next video, we will be talking about socket links, sockets, and the specific colors in them and what they mean. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding the bell for future videos, which we'll be going over, which we will hopefully be posting every couple of days. And don't forget to comment down below if you have any questions at all. And until next time, guys, peace out.